Hey man, how's it going? We would like to welcome you. We got some viewers here in the chat as well. We have a little bit
Awesome.
different of a podcast. We do like an interactive podcast where we have our viewers in the chat. They give us some questions, then we have some good questions for you as well.
All right.
But
Nice.
yeah, guys, today we have Adam Fuggit with us here. He's coming off of a hot win against Josh Quinlan. First things first, man. How did that win feel?
I felt good, man. That was the last fight of my contract, so to go in there and get the W and get that new contract, that was huge weight lifted off the shoulders, and I'm excited to continue down the path of this career, and excited for the opportunities I get.
Awesome. So since you what age did you actually get into MMA?
Oh shoot, I think I was it was 2012, so um, sorry, my birthday's like right this weekend, so I'm like,
Oh, happy early
uh,
birthday, man.
yeah, thank you. I was in my early 20s, so like 23 or 24
I
when
got you. Did you
I,
have
what's that?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I did wrestling. I wrestled for 5 years, 1 year at a community college, and then I did 3 years of just straight Muay Thai kickboxing before I transferred over to MMA as a whole.
Awesome. Did you have any inspirations that kind of got you into the sport?
I mean, that Stephan Bonner Forrest Griffin fight was huge. Me and my buddies in high school were sitting there watching that live, and that was a huge inspiration to us. And then obviously, you see GSP racking up wins with his wrestling, and finally for me, Anderson Silva. Those were kind of like the three big moments for me. I was like, I think I got this. And then I have had a really good, set of friends who all looked at me and kind of said, well, shut up and stop talking about it. And why don't you freaking try it and go do it, and motivated me to go in there.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Another question we like to ask: what do you think about losses? Like, what do they mean to you? Are they just like simply demoralizing, or like they means for improvement?
Early on my career, it was always losses were the biggest fear, right? And as you mature in this sport, you realize that those are just opportunities to improve. And now I kind of, I'll ask the question back to people like, how do you truly know who you are if you haven't had to go through the process of dealing with a loss? Do we really see the absolute best John Bones Jones? Do we see the absolute best Khabib? They've never had to overcome that, because that's a loss, man. It's going to put a world of doubt in your head, and you got to, climb that mountain again and get, your confidence back. So,
As a
um,
fighter in oh my bad, go ahead.
no, go ahead. That was good.
So as a fighter in the UFC, what's the best advice that you could give to an amateur fighter dealing with a like let's say his first loss or second loss?
I mean, you're an amateur. I tell all these guys this. You're an amateur. Right now is supposed to be the time of your career where you go through trials and tribulations, and don't let a loss hold you back. Anybody can go in there and hit that lucky punch, or get a bunch of quick finishes and then go pro. And that's when the wins and losses really start to matter, is when you go pro. So get your L's out of the way, get your learning lessons out of the way as an amateur, try different things, and really try to complete yourself as a whole. And then obviously when you go pro, the numbers go back to zero, so there's your reset. So it doesn't matter, you can go in there and make mistakes and try different things.
That's an awesome answer. Thank you.
What do you like best as a fighter? Do you like keeping the fight on the ground or keeping the fight on the feet, or do you like taking it to the ground?
It's a tricky one. That's a fight by fight basis, especially now at this level. Uh, we're playing chess, we're not playing checkers. So, I like to think that I have options for both. So it's just by a fight by fight basis. But early on in my career, definitely, you know, um, I really like pride myself on being a mixed martial artist and having to make those on the fly adjustments. Always the fight's going to start on the feet, so you got to be comfortable there. Um, and I remember this one fight as an amateur, winning it, and it was going into the third round, and I had been keeping this guy at the end of my range the whole time. and my coach comes in and goes, "Hey, do you want a decision W over this person, or do you want to get a finish?" And he goes, "Either one's fine. You just got to make the choice. The other one, the finish, you're gonna have to put yourself out there a little bit, put yourself in harm's way to find that finish, or you can just play it safe and keep this guy at the end of the range and get the decision W." And so again, there it is in the amateurs. You got to make a choice. And that night, I was like, okay, let's go. I haven't wrestled this guy yet. I don't know what his wrestling is. We haven't really seen anything. So let's go make an attempt and see what happens. And I ended up getting to the floor and to the ground, and I found myself to a dominant position and getting the ref to stop the fight. So,
That's awesome. Which of the two do you see to be your own strong point?
ah, let's go with. I feel like if I had to, when in doubt, I think I'm going to probably choose my grappling just because of a couple of factors. Not that I think I'm better at my grappling than my striking, but it's way more taxing for your opponent. Grappling and wrestling conditioning is a whole different. It's a whole beast of its own. So if I had to kind of fall back onto one of my skills, it would probably be that grappling. Knowing that I have the cardio to push that and to do that.
Gotcha.
I had another question for you. At LFA 125, when
Mm-hmm.
you were fighting, what was his name? Renfro?
Yeah,
You were a huge underdog in that fight, and he was a
yeah,
massive favorite. What was it like to go out there and just smoke him? I think it was like 40 seconds he landed that punch, and then like 45, the ref stopped it. What was that like,
yeah.
man? The feeling must have been unreal.
Oh man, it was. I always, kind of pride myself on act like you've been there before, but that was definitely a moment I had to like, definitely check my emotions. I wanted to go into a full scale Chuck Liddell, like, fist pump and, the adrenaline was definitely there. But, and when it all kind of came back to that present moment, answering the commentary questions after the fight, all I could really think about is, you know, uh, take that Vegas odds. There ain't nothing you can tell me about me. I don't. Doesn't matter what you got on me. I know what I'm capable of every night.
Awesome.
In your next fight, what are your intentions, and will you be playing it more offensive or will you be playing it more defensive? Without sharing the whole game plan.
Oh, I tend to just stay in the moment and see what the time calls for. But yeah, I feel like I'm an offensive mind. You know, growing up in wrestling, I always watched the Iowa Hawkeyes team and was very inspired by the Gable teams and the Brands brothers. And I always feel like, taking the fight to your opponent is the way to go and to really push that pace. So I'd probably take the offensive side of that.
I like that.
With that being said, do you think Islam will be your most challenging opponent yet?
Every fighter that is your next in line is your hardest fight for sure. That's how I look at it. He's the biggest test yet, and I'm excited to get in there and show everybody that I'm still growing as a fighter and evolving. And I'm pumped. We're back in the Pacific Northwest where everything kind of kicked off for me. I have a lot of Muay Thai fights up there in Washington, and I have a couple professional fights in MMA up there in Washington. So I'm excited.
Awesome.
What would you say your biggest strength compared to your opponents would be?
It's kind of hard. There's not. I haven't seen a ton of tape on him. There's a little bit out there. I would just say I would just say I'm the much more rounded fighter. I have spent a lot of time doing wrestling and jujitsu. Um, Obviously, I have a wealth of Muay Thai experience as well, and so a lot of fence wrestling time. I think he's definitely got the leg up in the boxing, but I just feel like I kind of have a much more I have a bigger variety, I would say.
Sure.
Um, does 170 feel like home for you in the UFC? Have you ever thought about a weight change, or are you sticking at 170?
So yeah, I definitely I think 170 is it. I went and did all the PI testing, which they put me on a DEXA scan and everything, and determined with my body mass, my density or my bone mass as well. Um, I think like 165 is like the very low. It might even be a little bit higher than that. 167 is basically the lowest I can go. So can't go down, and you know. I think I'd have to really put on some more muscle to go 185, and I don't know if that would translate well to my game.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
After you finish your next fight in spectacular fashion, who can we expect to see next? Do you have any names, or do you just want the next opponent?
Oh man. I had some names before they gave me a name, and now I'm like looking back at some of those guys' last fights, and I'm like, I'm not gonna call anybody out on a loss. That seems kind of below the belt. So after this one, I'll definitely have to focus in again on who's done what and who's doing what, and I definitely would like to start kind of trying to I'm trying to fight the best in the world. I'm trying to reach the pinnacle. If you're not trying to do that in the sport, then what are you here for? So after this one, I definitely want to continue to move up.
Right on.
So, what is your goal for 2025 in the UFC? You're going for gold, correct? Just trying to go for gold as fast as possible, or
I mean, I don't have much time to deal with. I got here a little late to the party, so I'm just I'm enjoying every opportunity, every moment that I can here. And again, if you're not trying to fight the best, then what are we doing here? So, yeah, after this one, I, I'm aiming to try to get 4 fights in this year. I think the most I've gotten in a year is 2. So I don't even know if I've done that. So let's get some multiple fights in this year. I got this new contract. Let's put it to good use.
to see four this year would be awesome.
Yeah, that would. I mean, things happen. People get banged up and stuff. But I definitely I want to string some together.
That'd be sweet.
Speaking of coming into the game a little late, what age do you see yourself actually exiting? When do you see yourself retiring?
you know, I haven't given any of that thought. I kind of have. I guess in some of the interviews I've had, I said basically any fight could be my last fight, but that was also because my contract was running out. I'm in terms of my new one. I'm not sure if the UFC has to honor all 4. If I have a stinker of one, and they're just like, "Ah, sorry, man, we've seen what we've seen, and we're moving on. You're taking up a spot." I don't know if that's an option for them. It might be. So, again, I kind of just go into everything is my next fight is my biggest fight. My next fight could be my last fight. Depending on what. But if they're giving me the opportunity, you can bet I'm going to be taking it. I don't want to be a Tony Ferguson or a Clay Guida staying in there, past my means, but also, I'm not in those guys' shoes. I don't know what their lives are like. So, if they're still motivated to try to be the best and taking those fights because of that, then I respect that.
Absolutely.
So,
So,
Oh, go ahead. My
go ahead.
bad.
No, go ahead. You got it.
This is my last question for you. What are your personal thoughts on Colby Covington?
Oh man, yeah. So Colby was a year older than me. He went to obviously a different high school, but I watched a lot of his wrestling matches growing up, and basically on the mats with him. And yeah, I don't know, man. He's definitely thrown in this new persona, but some of the uh, some of the antics, like after the loss, storming out of the cage, being upset with himself, those are definitely things I saw on the mat as well. I think he's just a very I he's a very competitive person, and not all of us competitive people can sit there after we suffer a defeat and not be mad at ourselves. So I don't take that away from him or anything, but the persona and stuff, Chell brought that along. I know Chell's definitely been an inspiration to him, and putting amateur fighters through Chell's promotions and stuff. They always encourage you to create that persona, to talk a little shit, and hey, it's one way to go about it. But I always felt like my fighting style, played into you know, it played into fans. You know, my fighting style is you know, energetic. It draws people in, and I also got one of those punchable faces. So what do I need to talk shit for? You know, everybody that gets my contract or gets my name on that on contract seems to think that they're going to knock me unconscious. So, you know, I'll be the underdog, the forever underdog.
Hey, it's free money. Well, hey,
That's
man,
right.
that's really our last question today, but I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
If you would like to shout out your socials and give the fans a place to find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram primarily. It's AMF 170 MMA, I believe, on Instagram. That's really my only one. I guess I'm trying to fire up TikTok, but you know, I don't know. Social media is not really my game. I know I need to stop saying that and just put a little work into it, but you know, that's where you can find me. That's where you can interact with me. Obviously, you guys got to hold me through there, and yeah, tune in February 22nd. You know, me in Seattle, back in the Pacific Northwest.
Awesome. We'll be
Awesome.
watching, waiting for you to get that dub.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you so much, man.
Have a good one.